The tradition of the Day of the Dead is a Mexican celebration of pre-Hispanic origin that honors the deceased and celebrates the symbolic return of their souls to the world of the living. It takes place on November 1st and 2nd. This festivity originates from an indigenous worldview and incorporates aspects of pre-Hispanic cultures, the veneration of the gods of the underworld, respect for the ancestors, and the connection with the departed. It is believed that during these days, the souls return home to reunite with their families and to be nourished by the essence of the food offered on the altars prepared in their honor. Mexicans see death as a complementary part of life. For pre-Hispanic cultures, death was not an end, but a transformation toward eternity. In contemporary Mexico, the Day of the Dead is filled with joy. It is a celebration of life, where the living honor those who have passed, expressing gratitude for their legacy. One of the most cherished customs during these days is the creation of the ofrenda or altar of the dead, both in homes and in public spaces. Each altar reflects the natural resources of the region, as well as the tastes, memories, and photographs of the person being remembered. In these ofrendas, folk artists let their imagination flow. Clay figures, the so-called toys of the dead, sugar skulls and animals, reed reliquaries, cane crucifixes, wooden carved crosses, ex votos painted on tin, silver and gold milagros, scapulars, and clay incense burners. All of these form a universe of faith, art, and devotion. Nature holds an essential place in these expressions. On the altars, one can find the country's biodiversity and cultural richness: flowers, corn cobs, aromatic incense, pan de muerto made with local wheat, trees of life molded in clay, and animals crafted from wood or metal, among others. All of these reflect the dialogue between art and the earth. Lucía Díaz del Castillo, a Mexican visual artist based in Norway, presents this year an altar for the Day of the Dead dedicated to the Norwegian muralist Emanuel Vigeland, 1875–1948. Vigeland explored in his monumental work the great mysteries of life and death, transformation and return, depicting the human cycle as a continuous fresco. This altar takes Vigeland's vision as its starting point, a search for transcendence in which his work reflects a philosophical inquiry into the immortality of the soul through art. For him, painting was a way to immortalize the moment, to engage in a dialogue with eternity. This purpose coincides with the deep meaning of the altar of the dead, where art and memory serve to keep alive those who have departed. Through three main elements, the ofrenda seeks to establish a dialogue between the Mexican Day of the Dead tradition and Vigeland's artistic inspiration. First, artistic materials such as brushes, a palette, and one of Vigeland's vessels, evoking the creative act and the artist's presence. Second, the tree of life and death modeled in clay by artisans from Metepec, symbolizing the eternal cycle, including birth, transformation, and return, which deeply resonated in Vigeland's work. Third, an arch woven with more than 300 colored ribbons intertwined with religious and handcrafted relics, representing the vital breath, energy, and celebration of existence, in harmony with Vigeland's philosophy. This altar is a space where memory, art, and spirituality converge to honor the deceased, celebrate life, and create a bridge between different cultures, the Mexican and the Norwegian, between folk art and symbolic monumentality. Lucía shares the essence and the spirit that inspire this altar. I grew up in a country overflowing with color, traditions, and ancestral symbols that shaped my vision and sensitivity. Now I carry that learning and let it blossom in Norway, a country where light intertwines with color. Mexico left a deep mark on me, a living memory reflected in my art. The diversity of techniques, materials, and symbolisms in Mexican art has been my school and inspiration. Living and discovering its forms, rituals, and folk art has meant listening to the pulse of the earth, that dialogue between the sacred, the everyday, and the human. In my craftsmanship there exists a bridge between human beings, nature, and community, a gesture that reveals beauty, harmony, patience, and wisdom. In my artworks and installations, I seek to convey and tell stories that whisper emotions, inviting the viewer to pause, observe, and reflect, to be carried away by a theatrical universe where art becomes an echo of the soul.